Chapter 5, Lesson 1, Ratios and Rates. You can see ratios and rate as part of our vocab down here we're going to talk about, as well as we're going to be looking at calculating unit rates. We're going to talk a lot about rates and ratios in this chapter, especially here with this first lesson. When we talk about our vocab, we're going to have a few words. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities using divisions, aka it's a fraction, but the important part that we need to see here is that it compares two. So we talk about a ratio, we're using two numbers. Everyone say two. If we're talking about a ratio, you need two numbers, no more, no less. Now when we talk about a rate is just a ratio, there's that word again, which talked about two, everyone say two, with different units or different labels. So when we talk about a rate, we're going to have two labels on it. So today, if you're talking about a ratio, you're going to write down two numbers. If you're talking about a rate, you're going to have two labels on it. And the unit rate is something a lot of us are familiar with. It's your pay rate, how many dollars per hour you get, how many words per minute, WPM, you can type in Digitech or online typing things. Lots of different unit rates where when we talk unit means one. What do you get paid per hour, per day? How many students are there per class? What is it? How many tickets are sold per hour? So on and so forth. It's always per one or for one. Now when we talk about a complex fraction has a fraction in the numerator, denominator, and both. Basically, what I say, a complex fraction is a fraction in a fraction. And sometimes there are two fractions in the fractions. And that is somewhat fun. So, when we talk about it here, as a quick recap, there are three ways to write a ratio. So we're going to write that all. But notice up here, it says there are 15 cats and 12 dogs. Always read what they want first. Which one do they want first, the dogs or the cats? It says find the ratio of cats to dogs. So we must put cats first, the 15, over the 12. Now remember, this is a ratio, so we're going to reduce that. So take a 3 out of both the top and the bottom, breaks it down to 5 over 4. I would like you to do something. I would like you to write in that in simplest form as a mixed number, which is 1. 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over because you take the 4 away. Now, when we talked about ratio, we said 2. Everyone say 2. Did you say 2? Ratio is two numbers. Say 2. When we're looking right here, there are 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. Please cross this off. Do not write a mixed number today. When we talk about a ratio, you can leave it improper. You just need to make sure that it's in simplest form like this guy. So 15/12 does not work, but 5 over 4 does. Now, that is one way to write it. 5 over 4. You can write it sometimes as ratios. They write them this way, which is said out loud as 5/4. And then the third way to write it is literally to write out 5/4. These are all three ways. Note, when it says to write out 3 ways, I need to see all 3 of these. If all it says to write a ratio, then you can write it any one of these ways. You can write it as a fraction, as a ratio with that symbol in between, or you can write out the word 2. Either way works. Follow instructions. Now it says you bike 30 blocks in 20 minutes. Find your speed. Over here on the side, but I want you to put a little fraction line. Please do me a favor and put a $sign on top. What you're going to find out is when we talk about a rate, a lot of times money goes first. Dollars per hour, dollars per day, dollars per pound. And then on the bottom, a lot of times we have a time down there, like you heard, per day, per week, per minute. And that's how things usually go. That means if we're going to find a rate over here, in this problem up here, is there any money in any of our labels? Nope. Then is there any time, anything with a time in it? Well, yeah, 20 minutes. So that should go on the bottom. Now, this isn't always guaranteed, but we're talking for majority of our problems, it's going to sound right or sound how we normally talk if we put that on the bottom. And then whatever's left, put on the other side. So the 30 blocks. So you can go 30 blocks in 20 minutes. That is your rate. That is your speed. It didn't ask for a unit rate. It just asked for your rate. Done. This is a rate. If you want to put down here, it's a rate. Because notice it's a ratio because it's got two. Everybody say two. It's got two numbers, the 30 and the 20. And because it's a rate because it has two labels, the blocks and the minutes. Why are we doing this? Because we're talking about finding rates and ratios. In this next slide, we're going to talk about a unit rate as well. And you can see we've got to do some skills here with calculating unit rates. So let's do that. It says find the unit rate of pay. Here's a table, what you get paid. Unit rate means I don't want to know how much money I get paid in 6 hours or 12 hours or 18 or 24. I want to know what I get paid per hour or in 1 hour. Here's how you do it, like we talked about on that previous slide. Is there any money involved? If so, it goes on the top and time goes on the bottom. What you're going to do is you're going to pick one of these, any one of these columns. I want to pick this one for smaller numbers and easier mental math or math in general. In the 6 and 90, do either of those represent money? The 90 does, so put that on top because that's $90. If you want to write it off to the side, the label, you could. And then we got 6 on the bottom, or 6 hours. Now you could put those together, or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide those out. Quick, grab a calculator. Use a calculator on your phone or on your Chromebook. Divide them on out, and you get 15, which is a ratio because we can write 15 as a fraction as 15 over 1. But let's just stick with the 15. Now it says find your unit rate. Attach the labels. What was the label up on top? Well, that was dollars, so $15. And then this line right here, this line means per, so I'm going to write the word per. And then what was the label on the bottom down here? What did the 6 stand for? 6 hours. So then put that down. You have $15 per hour. Backing up here just briefly, when we talk about this right here, $90 for 6 hours. This is a rate. This is what we talk about with a rate because you got a ratio, two numbers with two labels, $90 in 6 hours, $90 per 6 hours. Then this unit rate, that's this guy. Notice where we divide it out. To find the unit rate, you just divide it out and then you tell me what it is per hour. You just get that denominator to be 1, so $15 per hour. When it says find unit rate, you just divide them on out. That's literally what we're doing because that's how we find unit rate. You divide them out. If it just asks for a rate, you write a fraction. Same thing with a ratio, you write a fraction. Follow instructions. If it says write a ratio 3 different ways, then write it 3 different ways. If it just says write a ratio, then pick one of the 3 ways that you like to do that. Otherwise, again, today we're going to find ratios, rates, and unit rates. So we're going to have 2 numbers, and when we talk about rates and unit rates, you're going to have 2 labels as well. Please make sure you get in the habit now of putting those. We'll talk about that when we correct the assignment, but you need 2 labels because they're worth 2 points every problem on a quiz or a test. And then find ratios and rates involving ratios of fractions.